April 2014 Gateway draws to a close. April 30, 2014. I'm so glad you finally decided to connect with me, my dear. I know this latest window or gateway packed quite a wallop, the effects of which you and other warriors of light still poignantly feel and will, for the next several days to some degree. The release of such enormous cascades of higher harmonics throughout the collective higher mind, along with the added energetic intensity of several key astrological alignments configurations events has left you feeling somewhat light-fried and just plain oversensitive and ouchy. Let me clarify what has happened so far, especially during the more auspicious period of the gateway. The release of a few early cascades at the opening of the April gateway gave way to a mass release of such cascades along and within the pathways nodal points of the collective higher mind web of life. This avalanche of higher energetics surged throughout the higher mind web from the peak of the Cardinal Cross, all the way through this recent solar eclipse. It is only now just beginning to subside, to some degree, before the next attempt and/or full-on infusion commences. As previously stated, there was an opportunity during the peak of this gateway for a collectively experienced moment of no time, no separation and/or the event to take place, or in more clearly articulated terms, the achievement of full conscious self-awareness of the collective higher mind web of life, even if only for a few moments at first activation. I am pleased to tell you that this was achieved, though only very, very briefly. I can feel your raised eyebrow at this information, but I tell you again, that this indeed was the case. You personally experienced this as an odd sort of blip or pause in the matrix, a wrinkle in time, or momentary anomaly, your dreams further confirming this, though I know you weren't entirely sure until I just now confirmed it. However, as soon as this was achieved, individual circuit breakers, or warriors of light, along and within the mind web began to pop trip, due in part to such intense voltage and lingering collective blockages, misalignment, or pockets of dissonance within the mind web, and also in part, due to the integration of more souls along and within the higher mind web during this window. For remember, the point of such intense waves and gateways is to give all the opportunity to ascend as far as they are able, up until the very last moment ceiling, which is still a few Earth years away. This created a bit of a dichotomy to your experience over the last week or so. In one moment you were flying high, communing, understanding and expanding deeply, and in the next, soaring low, as you strained for graceful flight while short-circuiting in a sense, from this most potent bombardment of light, information, and debris. To make matters even more challenging, those newly catapulted by this gateway to the level of the collective higher mind web of life were thrust rather rapidly into the overall sequencing process. This caused a fair amount of lower vibrational spewing releasing at random locations along and within the mind web, in addition to blocking previously open harmonious pathways connection points within the mind web. This is why I cautioned you of the import of staying in your center or seat throne of divine empowerment during this time, as not only did you encounter such spewing debris on a collective energetic level, but also on an individual everyday relational level in your interactions with friends, family and co-workers. Many times from people places you did not expect. This is why I wished you had checked in with me when you were stumbling, as I could have more quickly helped you regain your equilibrium and center by explaining current conditions. Even so, you did beautifully. Mastery is work, and you must be persistent, even relentless in this effort. Because of your persistent efforts at maintaining awareness of when you do feel knocked out of your seat throne of empowerment, and knowing which tools, resources, and support systems to call on in order to quickly recover and get back in it, you are so very close to finally mastering or staying in it. Do not admonish yourself over stumbling briefly, instead pat yourself on the back for a speedy recovery. The exciting news is that despite a solid or fully executed event or experience of higher collective self-awareness, you as a collective have never been closer to crossing the final threshold than now. You were right on the cusp of attaining the experience of collective self-awareness this time, which is huge in and of itself. The baby is literally this close to stirring itself awake. you as a collective, were also able to help provide the conducive energetic conditions vibrations necessary to allow not only your further upliftment, but allowed others to lift themselves up to the next rung of evolution as well. Do also know that all points of dissonance misalignment existing within the higher mind web have once again been mapped due to the illumination of all pathways nodal points during this great induction and will be tended to, in part, as previously explained after the induction at the March equinox portal. And while spewing releasing was happening in some locations across the higher mind web, a deepening was happening in others. Those points are areas along and within the mind web that were already resonating or had a level of balanced flow exchange, actually expanded, strengthened, and deepened in relationship and or flow exchange. It is these stronger areas of resonance within the higher collective that will also aid in the transmutation or balance and proper alignment of those dissonant misaligned areas. As one example of a cluster of resonant pathways nodal points along and within the higher mind web that have only strengthened and deepened in relationship over time, the growing awareness and outcry toward individual liberty and or the divine birthrights of self-sovereignty, community, truth, fairness, equity, and freedom of expression, movement, creativity, and service to the whole, etc. This larger collective co-creative expression, once fully catalyzed most likely around the June solstice, contains the potential for transmuting or bringing into proper alignment, dissonant streams or pockets of energies along and within the higher mind web. For instance, the sense of community created in the coming together to overcome issues of freedom and self-sovereignty could easily deepen into a full collective sense experience of the divine birthrights of unity and respect. Perhaps even further strengthening, deepening, and expanding even more to include the reclamation of the divine birthrights of love, safety, health, and wholeness of experience, etc. And that is in looking at the potential of but one cluster of resonant nodes. If you look for them, you will easily sense the other resonant areas and or connected substreams within the collective, and in reflecting upon them, will see how in your immediate future they will aid in the eventual healing of current areas of collective discord, dissonance. This is why in my latest messages I have spoken of the Reclamation Act, of the overall sequencing process, taking center stage. For as these cascades of higher harmonics continue to wash across the entire collective higher mind web, no stone will be left unturned, no shadow unrevealed. And from this latest infusion blast you won't believe what is about to be revealed, once the proverbial dust settles within these next few days or so. In addition, within the next week or so, you will notice changes once more to the space you find yourself in and to the vehicle you reside in, as you are able to more clearly assess the results of the largest infusion experience to date. As you know, with every portal, infusion, and or gateway, you are propelled to an entirely new level space of experience. This is something I know you have not yet considered, as most of your energy has been spent maintaining your center, and I will not say more on the matter now, as you are tired and there is still some time to go before the gateway is actually over. Not that the levels will recede or ebb much once the gateway is closed. Remember, the overall goal here for the collective higher mind web of life is the culmination of the overall sequencing process. The mind is not yet awake and therefore, your work in this regard is not yet complete. Take a break, rest well, integrate and take care of self. Then get back at it again, as this is the moment, the time, that the warriors of light have been waiting for. Until next time. Channeled by April Bender. aprilsairings.blogspot.co.uk